Hello, viewers. Welcome again to another episode of the Power Impact Series, where we are influencing our next generation. And you know what? Last week was a bomb. This week, I don't know how to term it because in our studios this evening, this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are watching us from, I call him the Oracle of relationships. And you know what? This man's name is a mystery. You need to call it so that the meaning of the name happens to you. The meaning of his name is favor from or favor of the Almighty Creator. So when you're going through any challenge and you call his name, you're going to get favor from your Creator. That is the man we are going to talk about, or we are going to have a chat with this evening. So once again, I want to say you are warmly welcome to the African Seasoned Speakers Network. And my name is Ambassador Benjamin Ozuaza. And as you know, to be part of this program, just hit us, give us your details so you can be part of this wonderful program where we can also advertise what you do, what you have, the product, your service, and also push this agenda to reach many people all over the world. Today, we are going to look at how you manage your life and then you manage your relationship as well. And in the house with us is the man himself. He is the founder and CEO of Relationship Health Center. He is a trained ADR professional. He's going to tell us the meaning of the ADR himself. And with particular interest in meditation or mediation and negotiation. And for all my Naija people, he is from Anambra State. You know what I mean? So where are all my Naija people in the yard? Get ready and let us all welcome our main man, Ogochukwu Nweke. And his name, as I said, Ogo means favor. So I'll prefer to call him by that first name. Ogo means favor. So when I call him favor, you know what I mean by favor. Thank you, sir. And you are welcome to the biggest platform in Africa, speaking to the young people to change their mindset for the journey ahead. Welcome to the show, Ogo.
It is wonderful to see you again, Ben. Man, I am just always very excited to see you. The energy, the excitement, the inspiration, man. You're too much. You're a value to Africa. Believe that.
That is the man. Thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah. So how is Nigeria like? How is Nigeria? What is happening in Nigeria currently?
Well, apart from the usual challenges with politics and all of that, we are working hard to make it stable for ourselves. You know, okay. We have had struggles that we never anticipated, that we'll be having in 2021. But you know how it is with Nigeria. We are resilient. We're tough. We just keep pushing. It reminds me of something that Boutros Ghali, the former Secretary General, once said. They asked him about Nigeria, and he said that that a thing that can break a country apart, 24 of it will happen in Nigeria, and Nigerians will just keep moving. They never stop. And so that's how it is. We just keep moving, but we're trusting the Almighty for better days ahead.
Right. So currently, I know Nigerians are currently preparing to vote for their, senators and stuff. How is that one also going?
Okay, so our elections usually happen in 4 years, just as it is in Ghana. But we run a federal system of government, and so from time to time you might have a particular state because of its own issues, are not following the calendar, the political calendar or electoral calendar that we have in Nigeria. So on the 6th of November, my state, Anambra State, will be having their governorship elections.
Wow.
Yes, and we are looking forward to a keenly contested election, and we're trusting for the very best as well.
Wow. So do Nigerians outside Nigeria vote for this kind of elections? Do they do, or it's only those that are in Nigeria at that moment?
Well, the conversation is on the table right now to see how we can get Nigerians in the diaspora to vote. In fact, that's one of the conversations that we're having right now in Ghana, to see, and that's one of the reasons I'm also, around, and following the trend. But be that as it may, even though they do not vote, they also participate in the conversation and make their contributions intellectually and otherwise, as to what the voters should expect, and what they should do. Yes.
All right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Nigeria is a very great nation in Africa.
Yeah.
And they once said that there's no country in the world that you not find a Nigerian there.
That is true. In fact, some have said that if you get to that country and you don't find a Nigerian, just don't unpack. Just take your luggage as it is and leave.
And leave the place.
Don't leave the place.
Because you're not in the country.
No. That country is not progressing.
Wow. But we love the Nigerian kind of spirit, the Niger spirit, the agility, the tenacity, and the can-do spirit. You guys have got it. You guys have got it, and that's good. That's good. Once I was walking in town, and then a Nigerian man saw me. It was Independence Day for Nigeria, so I was going to
October 1.
This guy just stopped me. He said, Oga, making a stop now. And I said, okay. He said, now today we want Independence Day. I said, oh, okay, that's good. Happy Independence Day. Oh, no, not that. But when I look at your outfit, I think this flying car will match you perfectly for an Independence Day. So you need to buy this thing. And I'm like, hey man, I don't need a car. He said, no. Now they wish me happy independence now. Now make you wish my business a happy independence so that I can stand on my own. I said, my God, this guy just blew me up. And I have no feeling about the past. I love that kind of spirit. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So all the way from Nigeria, and I say hello to all my Niger people wherever you are viewing me. Just give me a hi on the chat and let me know that my Nigerian folks are watching one of their own today.
Wow.
Okay. All right. So straight to you, Ogo.
Yeah, Bob.
How do you see the current youth, their life, and how they're blending it or mixing it with relationship? Are they able to separate their single life from their work, or do you see it as a mixture of all this and they're not having a clear focus on the future?
Okay, and I'm going to answer that question from the perspective of the work that I do. The young people that I meet every other day, and the fact that their hunger for mentorship, as it were, in this particular area. There used to be a time when they really didn't care. They just go in, hit a brick wall, move on, and all of that. But you have a lot more people now, asking for guidance, asking for counsel, and all of that. And so one of the things you notice as you begin the conversation is that the youth, they are victims. We expect too much from them. For the simple reason that if you haven't taught someone how to behave, you shouldn't expect that person will be able to behave properly, and we forget that, and we just wait till the people are 40, 45 and pushing 50, and then we just start accusing them of things they never even knew they are supposed to do. And so the challenge actually is not being able to prepare properly, for the future that comes to you, just as effectively as they prepare for a degree in the university, a good job, prepare and count the cost before they build their houses, before they buy their cars and all of that. You can see surgical precision in those preparations. But when it comes to relationships, you just wait for it to happen to you, and then you wake up one morning and you say, I'm in love. Oh, okay. Oh, see, and before you know it, you've just hurt yourself, hurt other people, messed up beautiful relationships. Sometimes relationships don't break because they were not meant to be. They break because we didn't do the right thing to sustain them. You see,
Wow.
And it's a big issue.
Wow. So you didn't do the right thing to sustain them.
Yeah.
So it was not meant to be broken.
No, it wasn't meant to be broken. That mentality we have, que será, whatever will be. It doesn't work that way. Anything you don't work for will never be profitable to you.
Okay.
That is why, if you want to graduate from the university with a first class, you work for it from day one.
Right.
If you want to, if you drive a good car, a car that is serviceable, a car that is functional, you need to invest into maintenance of the car. So it might be a beautiful car, but if you don't maintain it, it's going to break down on you at the time you least expect.
Yeah.
And so that's how it is with a relationship. So when you buy, imagine you own a functional Mercedes S-Class, and it's beautiful, but then the car breaks down and you're wondering, how can whatever will be, it might be the will of God for it to break down. No, you're not maintaining the car. That's why it broke down.
Whoa.
And that's how it is with relationships. Some of the times we're just imagining that something wonderful is going to happen to keep it going. No, a beautiful relationship can be broken because we didn't do the right thing to sustain it.
Wow. So, lovely viewers, I don't want to be selfish by keeping these things to myself. What I want you to do now, if you view now, kindly share the link so that we reach out to a lot of people about this. There are certain things that are not being taught in the classroom. And what God is telling us here now, man, is it Ogo? Sometimes people end up trying to upgrade themselves in their chosen field. But we least do that when it comes to relationships.
Absolutely. You have raised a very, very important issue. Think about it, Ben. We have this what we call wedding day. And you can imagine. You see all the things on social media right now. Wedding entrances alone, okay, trend so much that you wish you say, "Oh man, why wasn't my wedding like this?" That kind of thing. Now people spend a lot of money on the wedding day. They want to make sure that the dresses are okay, the food is right, the decoration is on point, the timing, everything is just perfect. And they spend so much money to do that. When they feel they are not going to be able to do the right thing, they engage a wedding planner. And before you know it, you see people spending 50,000 Ghana cedis, 5 million naira, 10 million naira, $30,000 just for that wedding day. And they come out of that wedding day feeling fulfilled that, man, I've had a great wedding. But they never prepare for the marriage life. They never spend time for the marriage life. So imagine the effort you put into one day, and compare it with the effort you've put in to prepare yourself for a lifetime venture. You see that we're not doing justice to our relationships, and we actually are not planning for our relationships to work. There are even some people, when you invite them for relationship consultancy, or maybe they belong to a particular church and you tell them, come for marriage counseling. It's even a struggle for them. They say, oh, I have this meeting somewhere. I'm not going to be able to make it. It's as if they're doing you a favor. Come and learn and be mentored in that area. So they don't prepare for anything. And the shortest marriage on earth lasted for 8 hours. It's unbelievable, but it is true.
8 hours.
8 hours. Okay. Now there are marriages that are broken after one day, after 1 week, and these are information I can tell you, happening in Ghana, in Nigeria, in South Africa. It's happening all over the place. In Togo, in Ivory Coast. 1 week, you spend 50,000 Ghana cedis to break up after 1 week. Okay, it's crazy. There's a relationship. They had a misunderstanding because of a toothpaste. And after that misunderstanding, they just couldn't see eye to eye anymore. They broke up. This is exactly what I do when I hear stuff like this. But really, toothpaste? But then when you sit down and think about it, you discover that if you are not prepared for it, you cannot manage it.
Okay.
If you're not prepared for it, you cannot manage it. And the best time to prepare for a wonderful relationship is when you're single.
Whoa. Hey, where are all my single people in the house? We are about to get the antidote. We are about to because if you're single now, this is the best place to be right now. Because the man is about to open that can for us to see what needs to be done to get that preparation set before we move. So it's just like running a marathon, and then you were ready, and then you about to run the marathon, which is going to take you're having about 4 people doing the marathon or 4 people doing the relay changes, and you're the one starting it, and you don't have the baton.
So you're not even qualified to run the race, man.
You see that? All right. So Ogo, now I give it up to you to run us through those.
Thank you so much.
Things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful privilege to be here, and thank you for having me. Ben, I'd just like to especially thank Makasia Mensa, Ben, and the rest of the team of African Citizen Speakers Network. You guys are doing a great job. We just really appreciate it. And every time I see programs like this being set up, I just believe so much in the future of the African, and the fact that we are now setting the agenda for ourselves and discussing the issues that are pertinent to our society. And so I just believe that programs like this will speak for all of us in the future. And I want to say a big thank you to you guys for the sacrifice, for the investment you're making, and for making the right choices, even when it comes to the topics. It's just awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So my name once again is Ogochukwu Nweke, Ogochukwu Chidebere Nweke. And the interesting thing with that name, Ogo, is, it depends on how you call it. When you say Ogo, it means in-law.
Okay.
And when you say Ogo, it means favor. Yes.
Ogo.
Yes. Ogo means favor. Ogo is in-law.
Okay.
Yes. And so it depends on how it plays out. Yeah. And so my responsibility this evening is to talk about life relationships while you're single, life and relationship while you're single. And I'm going to try to, just see what I can break down in the time that I have, and hope that maybe at the time of question and answer, maybe issues that I'm unable to raise during my presentation will also be raised. And so when we talk about life and relationship while you're single, we must always pay attention to 3 key issues. There's life, relationship, and single, and then the person in the center of it all, that is you.
Right.
Okay. So life, relationship, single, and you. And so it's important to start from the subject of you.
Okay.
Yes, because quite a number of times we forget to pay attention to ourselves as persons.
Right.
Okay. Yes. So it's important that I see myself as a person, and that is always where we start from. There are some things, like Ben said, we don't learn from the classroom, but they are important for us. Okay. You proceeds from the fact that you come from a family, you come from a culture, you come from an environment that has a value system, a way of life, a standard that also characterizes you as a person and your way of life. That is why, yes, our blood are all red, but the truth of the matter is that an African is different from an American, and an American is different from a British. When we see ourselves, we actually know the truth. We're different. And the recognition of those differences actually become what guides us in our lives.
Right.
that is why there are some things I can eat, but a white man cannot eat them. And there are some things a white person can eat, and I cannot eat them.
Sure.
And when I struggle to make that part of my diet, what I'm actually doing is killing myself without realizing it. You know, and it's also an issue that I'm going to be addressing at some point. But when we speak of life, we speak of the things that make life possible. Okay, the things we live in that factor into who we are as persons. And so when we speak of life, we need to look at the various issues that revolve around it, you know, that require the balance that will help us live. Okay, because when we speak of life, it's not just about breathing, it's not just about, you know, the things that happen around us. We recognize the fact that we are also stakeholders, and so we make contributions, you know, to the things that happen to us. So when we talk about living life, first we're talking about being alive. So what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be alive? You know, because you can be living, but you're not alive. So establishing the fact that you're alive means that you understand what it means, you know, to live. Okay, you understand what it means to live, and that is the reason, you know, some of the times when you speak to people, they say things like, "Oh, I can't take poison." You know, it's as simple as straightforward as that.
Yeah.
I won't take poison because poison will kill me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then we're not paying attention to the things we're actually taking. Imagine that you take 2 tablets of paracetamol. That's good for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But imagine that you take 6 tablets of paracetamol at the same time. The same paracetamol becomes poison.
Poison to you.
You know, so there are so many things that we're doing because we're not paying attention to it. We actually do not realize that we're not alive. We're
Yeah.
not alive because we're not thinking about life the way life is meant to be thought about. We're not approaching life with the energy, the mentality, the consciousness that it requires.
Yeah.
Because for as long as you are living, you're making choices. And every choice comes with a consequence. That consequence might be positive, it might be negative, but there will be consequence.
Yeah.
And so, what you measure life with is not whether a consequence is positive or negative. It's
Right.
about whether or not you're prepared for the consequences of the choices that you have made.
Oh.
So, yeah, nothing is really so. So, if I decide to go and live in the United States, there will be consequences. And some of those consequences might be heart wrenching. Number one, I'll be away from my family. It means I've gone into a long distance relationship. I might not be able to manage a long distance relationship. The loneliness alone is huge. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
there's the second issue of the fact that I'll be maintaining 2 families. I'll be
Yeah.
running the home in the US and then I'll be running the home in Africa. Okay.
True.
Yeah, I would have loved to be there when my daughter turns 10.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be there when my daughter turns 10. And there are so many things I'm supposed to do in her life. I will not be there to do it in her life. These are all consequences. And I might come to a point where I'm saying to myself, considering all those things, that, oh, this is very painful for me. Now it begins to look like my staying in the US is a negative consequence. But I am also not thinking about the value I am bringing by staying in the US.
Right.
Okay, the financial leverage, for instance, that they are getting. Okay, the career opportunities, the privileges that they are enjoying. I mean, just thinking about the exchange rate alone, man. You know, when you think about a dollar, you know, you can imagine what you can do with all that money. And
Yeah.
so, it tells you that the consequences could be positive, it could be negative, depending on how you're looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what breaks you, what frustrates you, what tears you apart is the fact that I did not prepare for the consequences of moving away from my family to the US. I didn't prepare for it. So because I didn't prepare for it, the frustrations can even cause a misunderstanding between my wife and I. It might cause a strain between my children and I.
Definitely.
So I'm making all the money, but I'm not fulfilled with what I'm making. Okay. Perfect. And then I get suspicious. There are trust issues in my marriage. You know, everything is just falling apart. And it is because I didn't prepare for the consequences of what I've walked into.
Right. Right.
And so being alive also requires us to understand that everything we do is a choice. And those choices will have consequences. And so we must prepare for the consequences of the choices that we make. Right. Okay. That is the concept of life. That is the concept of living. Okay. Now, in the process, we look at the things that factor into what we call life. So you're talking about health. You're talking about relationships. You're talking about your work. You're talking about the investments you make within your society and in yourself in order to develop yourself and develop your society. Okay? Because as I'm sitting down here, I don't know who my son is going to marry. And so I need to make the right investments, hoping that I'm also making investment in the girl that is going to end up becoming my daughter by virtue of the fact that she married my son. Sure. See? And so it's a factor of everything, you know, and also it's important to me to make those investments because I don't know who my daughter is going to marry. So you see, there's a lot. That's why when you're walking down the street, you see a banana peel on the ground, you pick it up and you trash it well. Why? Because you don't know who is going to sleep on it and fall. You know, so these are the investments we make into our society to develop both ourselves and our society. Okay. And so when we think about this aspect of life, the first thing we must think about is to create a balance. How do you create a balance? How do you plan for life? How do you create a balance between your health and your work? How do you create a balance between your work and your relationship? How do you create a balance between your relationship and your environment? You know, how do you create a balance between your environment and your personal development? Okay, because the fact that you are able to balance it and give aspect of your life the time and the concentration it deserves is also a sign that you're alive. True. Okay, because you're not doing anything in excess and you're not allowing anything to suffer. So all these things are very, very important. Okay. So it means that, for instance, when it comes to health, like we're saying, you know that landmark statement, you are what you eat.
Exactly.
You know, you are what you eat. So it's important what I put into my body. It's important what I drink. It's important what I eat. It's important, you know, when I sleep, when I wake up, how I carry about my life. Okay, because all these things will factor into the kind of life I have, the kind of life I'm living. Okay, and the same thing when it comes to relationships. How am I living my life? Okay, as far as relationship is concerned, my relationship with my family, my friends, and with this particular person that I could refer to as my significant other. How do I build my relationship with this person? You know, how do I walk in those parts? One of the realities that a lot of us fail to pay attention to is that there's this African proverb. I need to say that because it will help me lay the foundation, you know, that I want to lay.
Right.
You don't learn how to use your left hand at old age.
Okay.
It's a very important African proverb. You don't learn to use your left hand at old age.
Yeah.
So this is the mistake a lot of us are making. We are waiting for a particular time when we now begin to say to ourselves, okay, this is the time to start thinking reasonably, to start behaving properly, to start eating right, to start sleeping right, to start studying, to start being disciplined and all of that. Okay. We don't realize that there is a time when we try to do that and it's already too late to achieve that. And if you're going to even be able to achieve it, it's going to cost you much more than it would have cost you if you had done it some time ago.
Yeah, true.
This
Very
is the
true.
reality of life. You know, even if you are achieving stuff, the truth of the matter is that you could have done it some time ago and it would have been better if you did it then. Okay. And I can tell you from advantage of experience, even as I sit here, there are so many things I wish I did long before now. You know, because people tell you, oh, you know, don't worry, you know, especially, you know, when people begin to tell you, motivational speakers, you know, it doesn't matter, just build your life and you can just go, you get there, it doesn't matter, you didn't lose anything. Bro, forget all those things. Okay. I was speaking to a couple last week and I told them, I said, having a child at 55 is not a miracle. Having a child at 55 is not a miracle. Having a child at 60 is not a miracle. Sitting down and praying and say, oh, let what happened to Abraham and Sarah happen to me. It's not a miracle. You don't even understand what you're praying about.
Right.
You see, because by the time you're 60, you have a child. You call the child a miracle. It means that your child is going to be 10 years old when you are 70.
Okay.
Fundamentally, you are missing that child's childhood.
Okay.
And there are roles you're meant to play in that child's life that you will not be able to play in that child's life.
Right.
So imagine that you have retired and you're depending on your pension to take care of your child. You know, it means you're not making enough money anymore. Right. People don't realize it, but your pension is not more than 25% of your earning. It's never enough. And so you cannot use your pension to raise the child. It means that by the time the child is ready to be in the university, you're pushing 80. How is that a miracle? Is that a miracle? You know, because you see, you're just thinking about the fact that you've had a child, but you're not thinking about the implications of having a child. You know, and then you're expecting the child to understand that you cannot carry him or her on your back. You cannot spend time to play with the child. You cannot wake up at 2 a.m. when the child is up and play. These are the realities of parenthood. And if you don't do it at the right time, you will pay for it when it is time.
Okay.
These are the realities.
Okay.
And so the reason I laid this foundation is for us to understand that there is a right time to do everything that you want to do.
Okay.
Of course, there will be peculiar circumstances.
Right.
But those peculiar circumstances are what they are. Peculiar. So it's not the general expectation. So from time to time, things like that can happen, and then you know how to manage it. Right. But there is always a good time. There is always the best time to do certain things.
Right. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do at the right time, be ready for the implications.
Absolutely. It will catch you for front. It will catch you. You know? And you see, I'm a realist, and I try to paint this picture so that people actually understand the implications of the actions we take today.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. True.
Bro, you and I know, okay? Even just by virtue of understanding parenthood, you realize that there are so many things you're not able to do anymore. Not because you can't do them, but because the realities of your situation now as a parent, you can't do it.
It has caught up with you. You can't.
It has caught up with you. You know, and so if you're gonna have to do it, it means that you're gonna have to make extra effort to make it happen. And you must make sure that your children do not suffer at the expense of that pursuit. Right. Because if they do, you have another problem on your hands. Because one day your children are gonna grow up and they're gonna say to you, you failed in this area, and you're expecting them to understand. You won't understand what I went through. I was working hard to do this and do this and do this. The question is, what were you doing when you ought to have been doing that back then? They want to understand. They need to heal because they don't understand.
Exactly.
Okay. So you realize that you see you need to work extra hard. So even while you're planning to sleep for 7 hours, you might realize you sleep only for 4 hours if that thing is really important to you.
You go
Because the
for it.
only time you can mess around with is your time, not their time.
Their time is intact. Your time is limited.
Yes, your own time is limited. So you make the sacrifice you need to make, then sleep for 4 hours instead of 7. It's going to cost you more. Okay. And so this is the message.
That's
The
right.
best time to do some of these things is when you're single.
When you're single.
The best time to do it is when you're single. The best
Right.
time to get life right and the best time to get relationship right is while you're single.
Okay.
Because there are certain things you will not be able to do the moment you're married. Don't let anybody deceive you. Don't let the motivational speakers talk you into, thinking that you can just wake up and climb the mountain. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Ask everyone that gets married and is now a parent. Some of the times it's morning. You don't know where the time went. You can't believe it's 6 a.m. How can it be 6 a.m. now? Didn't I just lay down now? I just finished changing Junior's diapers and I just put him in bed. I say, let me just stretch. And it's 6 o'clock. How? What did the time go?
Who's pushing the time?
Who's pushing the time?
Oh, God.
These are realities. So there are some things that you need to do while you're single. Why? Because that is the time to build a foundation that will help you in life. Okay. That is the time to understand who you are, understand yourself as a person, understand your health, understand what you can do and what you cannot do, understand what you can eat and what you cannot eat, understand what you can drink and what you cannot drink, understand who you are, discover yourself, discover yourself so that you can plan your time and plan your life properly.
Okay.
Most times people don't know themselves, and so I am Ogo, and that is Ben, my very good friend.
Yeah.
Because I don't know myself, I go to Ben's house and he's drinking scotch.
Yeah.
Scotch is good for Ben. He knows how to manage it. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know how to manage scotch because and because I don't know myself, I just sit down and I see Ben drinking scotch. I see how he drinks it, and I'm saying to myself, if Ben can do it, so can I. And then he says, what can I offer you? And then I go, what are you drinking? He says, I'm drinking scotch. And I say, oh, let me have a thought.
Yeah.
Okay, instead of asking for my simple
You're
mango juice, instead of asking for my simple mango juice, I go and ask for scotch. And I'm making that request because I don't know myself.
Right.
Then I drink the scotch and I fool around in Ben's house. And then the children in Ben's house record me and put me on social media.
Whoops.
And I'm there fooling around. Why am I fooling around? I don't know myself.
Yeah.
But if I understand myself, if I've discovered myself enough to say, this is who I am, this is what I can take, this is what I cannot take.
Yep.
When I go to Ben's and he offers me a glass of scotch, I'll say, my brother, no.
Yeah.
Don't you have mango juice? He says, no, please give me water. Water would do. It's fine. Water is fine. Because I know myself.
Know yourself.
Do you see? And the time to do that is when I'm single. So what does it mean? Being single is not just about not being in a relationship.
Okay.
Because the human being is created to always be in relationships.
Okay.
You're either in a relationship back home with your family, you're in a relationship with your friends, your relationship with your colleagues that you work with. Okay. So it's not just about the person you love or the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. We are always in relationships.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be single? What does it mean to be single? Does it mean, oh, there is nobody attached to you? Is that what it means? No. To be single means you are not encumbered.
Okay.
To be single means you're not encumbered. To be single means you are focused. You understand what your focus is, and you're pursuing after your focus. Okay.
Right.
To be single means that you've given yourself the independence of thinking.
Okay.
The independence of thinking,
Okay.
the ability to think critically by yourself.
Right.
To be single means you understand that there are certain decisions you must make on your own. Nobody can make those decisions for you. That is being single, and that is an experience that a lot of us have not had ever in our lives. Because we're always making our decisions based on the opinion of other people, our parents, our friends, our peers, the people that say they care about us, our pastors, our imams. There's always somebody making decisions for us. And so we've never really made any decision on our own.
Right.
There are some people who've never really said, okay, you know what? No, I'm not going. I'll stay. I'm not going. You guys go. I won't go. Okay. Some of us have not made the decision of saying, I'm going to wear a black shirt today. Some people have not ever made that decision in their lives.
Yeah.
Okay. Even when they have the opportunity to make those decisions, they put it into the hands of somebody else to make it for them. Okay.
Right.
And so some people do not understand what it means to have an alone time. And so they're always in the midst of people. And you notice that with those people, the moment they sit down to think, they get distracted.
Okay. Yeah.
The moment they sit down to think, their attention span is so short because they've not worked on themselves. They've not disciplined themselves enough to have alone times.
A long time.
You need to build it. You need to build it. Okay, it's not something that anybody is going to do for you. So you just say to yourself, I'm going to wake up in the morning, just sit down by myself, read, not because I want to pass an exam, but read because I just want to expand my horizon.
Right.
So it's not because the geography of people is an interesting thing to read, but I know that if I know it, then I know how Ghanaians behave. And then I know that when I travel to Ghana, I will behave myself properly so I don't have any problems with Ghanaians.
Wow.
Do you see?
Wow.
It's called personal development.
Right.
Okay. It's not fun to read, but it is important that you read it and know. My brother, do you know that thing helped me when I traveled to Dubai? I traveled to Dubai and we went out to eat. Now there was this woman, she was all covered in her jalabia and all, what you call the thing they wear, hijab. Yes, and they covered and she was sitting down. And something happened. I needed to get her attention, and it was for her safety.
Okay.
But I know that a woman that is covered like that is a married woman, and you don't go out of her way to touch her just because you want to get her attention.
Okay. Right.
So I did all I could to get her attention. I had to walk faster, and I went round and stood on the side to speak to her. Okay. To for her safety. And something, husband and his friend were standing and watching from a distance.
Wow.
So you can imagine the kind of trouble I would have walked into.
If you had not known that.
If I had not known that. So some of those information, so you say, oh, but it was innocent. I didn't even do anything. I just touched her on the shoulder. Another man's wife. On the shoulder. And you think it was okay.
We don't care where you are coming from. This is our culture. And you need
Master,
to know.
you buy markets now. You buy markets. And so I learned from reading. I took time to study. Am I saying I know everything? No, but you need to develop yourself because it will help you in the day of reckoning. Okay. That's the concept of singleness that is necessary for life and relationship. Okay. So you can be in the midst of 20 people, but you have a mind of your own. You understand what it means to be single.
Okay.
You know that nobody completes you. You are complete by yourself. Okay. And when you get to that point, you understand that I don't have to do anything to please anyone.
Exactly.
Because if I have that mentality, I will beg to be in a relationship. And when I beg to be in a relationship, I will beg to stay in a relationship.
Okay.
That is where abuse begins.
You have offered yourself.
You have offered yourself for abuse.
Ah.
Because you will do anything to be in a relationship. You will beg for a relationship. So even when you know you're merely being tolerated, you're not being celebrated, you still stay there.
Okay.
You still stay in it because you beg to be in it. You know,
Okay.
you call Ben. Oh, Ben, she wants to break up with me. Please come and talk to her. This. You're begging. So you know that this person is insulting you, treating you less than a person, but you want to stick around in the relationship because if I leave, where will I go?
Okay. What will people say about me?
So you don't feel complete in yourself.
Okay.
When you feel complete in yourself, you know that you cannot be susceptible to abuse. You shouldn't even allow anyone push you to that point.
Okay.
You pay attention to the danger signals and you know what you can manage and what you cannot manage.
Exactly.
You see? Now, in understanding these things as a single person, immediately what it also tells you is that not everybody fits into your life.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
everybody fits into your life. Okay, it's just like when you're talking about the orange tree.
Right.
You can bud an orange with tangerine, but you cannot bud an orange with mango.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And then when you come to the cat family, lions can sleep with tigers to create ligers. But a lion cannot sleep with a zebra.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
The attraction is not even there. It will not happen.
At all.
So the moment you understand yourself, you will understand your kind.
Whoops. That is it.
You will understand your kind. Because sincerely, my brother, and you know what I'm talking about. You know this true. There are some people that will never fit into your life.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how you try. You will
They
either
can.
die early or you will kill them.
That is the truth. I mean, pure disorder. It's pure disorder.
Complete disorder. You know, so there are some marriages that will definitely fail because the two people are not meant to be together. They don't fit into each other's life. And you know, because fitting into your life is not just about, you know, sometimes you ask young people, how do you know you're in love with this person and how do you know it will work? You see them, they say, whenever the person is around, my body is doing me, you know, it's doing me today. My body, they shisha me. I've never felt like that before. How my body is doing me, you know. And then you ask them again, so is that all? You say, yeah. We even complete each other's sentences. I say, that is proof. So you're happy with yourself because you complete each other's sentences. You know, say, can you imagine? I love Manchester United, and she loves Manchester United. I say, oh, really?
We are compatible.
And you're happy. That is the word they always use. Compatible. But they forget that the true test of love is in the storm.
Right.
It's not over the red wine. It's not over the fact that Manchester United won. You know, it's not over the fact that we complete each other's sentences. My body they ginger me. That's not where it is. It's in the storm.
The storm.
Okay. So how do you also know that the person fits into your life? How well can they manage your flaws?
Right.
How well can they manage your flaws? My brother, do you know that there are women that are in relationships with alcoholics, but you will never know that their husbands drink?
Right.
You will not hear it anywhere. And it's not because they are abused in the marriage. They are managing the man and managing the man well. Why? Because the man can trust them with their flaws.
Okay.
There are men that know Do you know that there are men that buy mini skirts for their wives
Yeah. Yeah.
by themselves?
By themselves.
You know, so the man is going out, the woman wears a skimpy thing and follows him. You're looking at them from a distance and you're saying, hey, this man must be suffering. The man is the happiest man on the face of the earth.
He bought it.
He bought it for the woman. Do you see? But you're
Yeah.
looking at them from a distance and you're saying, oh, I pity this man. How can this man end up with a woman like this? Okay, but you see, they understand each other.
Okay. Okay.
You need someone that is able to manage your flaws,
Right.
someone that doesn't broadcast you and judge you over stuff, because we all have flaws, my brother.
Yeah.
We all have flaws. We have
Sure.
things that we need to heal from. We have things that we are dealing with. Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine a situation where a woman that loves attention, wants to cuddle, doesn't want her husband, to be looking at other women or to be so popular in the faces of women and all of that. You ask her, what kind of man do you want to marry? And she says, a man like Majid or a man like John Dumelo. How, Ade, how will it work for you?
How will it work, man?
You see, because the truth of the matter is that the moment you walk into Accra Mall, all the ladies there want to take selfies with him.
With him.
And when they take the selfie, it's going straight to Facebook.
Right.
And how are they going to caption it? Me and my boo. You will die before your time.
And you can't take that.
You can't take it. Because there are things you haven't been able to manage, and these people cannot manage it for you.
Right.
And then
right.
you hear some women say, how can you be calling a married man by 10 p.m.? You're a woman and you're calling a married man by 10 p.m. by 11 p.m. and you went to marry a pastor.
What do you expect now?
What do you expect? You say you don't want. How can you call a married man by 11 p.m.? You went to marry a doctor. Do you see? It means you haven't properly assessed yourself well enough to know who fits into your life.
Okay.
And the person that you can fit into his or her life. These are choices you make when you are single. Good. Because you see, you make those choices when you're single, you meet people, it's at that time you understand love is not enough. So she's beautiful, she's really beautiful, but she's an entertainer. I can't deal. She's a medical doctor. I can't deal. She says her dream is to be a pastor. I can't deal. She's planning to be an MP for her constituency. I can't deal. You see a man and he's in love with a woman that works in the marketing department of a bank. Now, these are some of the people that close last, because they go out, they do a lot of work, and then they come back, they need to close their accounts, make sure that they do all their reports well. So when others are closing by 5, they're in the office till 7 or 7:30. Now, that's the kind of woman you're in love with, and they ask you, what kind of home do you want? What kind of person are you? You say, well, I don't want any house help raising my children. And I don't like to eat food that is in the freezer. I like for my food to be fresh. So when I come home, I want my food fresh and all of that. And you went to marry somebody, or you're in a relationship with a marketer in a bank. Marry a teacher. You need to be realistic about your expectations, and you need to understand the implications of the relationship that you've walked into. All these things happen to you when you're single. It is at the time when you're single that you can make the right decisions concerning your health, concerning your relationship, concerning your investments, concerning your work, because those decisions, you don't make them when you're already in. You make them when you're out, so that you are certain that you are making the right decisions and you are prepared for the consequences of the choices that you make.
Wow.
Yeah. I think this would be a good time to pause, bro.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, That was Ogo for you. And he's actually taking us through. Know yourself. I think the catchphrase for today's hashtag is know yourself. I mean, that is the catchphrase. Know yourself. I mean, it all boils down to that. If you really don't know yourself, you don't wait for somebody to compliment you. You don't wait for somebody to make you who you are. Just get to know yourself, and then you can move in. All right, so viewers, that was all go for you. This is just scratching on the surface. This is scratching on the surface, but that alone, although I think this is a whole lecture. What you just did is a whole lecture. Because if we are to break this down, I'm sure we're going to be marveled with the kind of questions that are going to come up. So viewers, that was all for you. Kindly share the page, like it, share the page, and also be part of this so we can reach a larger number, to letting the singles know. I mean, letting you know yourself whilst you're single before you move in to complement somebody else. This has been powerful. All right, so Ogo, you were saying something that okay, so we are in a relationship, and then in our relationship, the lady or the gentleman is in the marketing unit of the bank, and you know the time they close and all that. Okay, so they forge ahead with the mindset that, oh, when we get married, I mean, one of us is going to quit their job because I wouldn't want this to happen. So that is their plan. That is what they fought for and everything. But here's the case: they got married, and because he gets married, there's a new opportunity in the marketing unit that needs to also push you up. Now, you are not going to be a single man now. You are now with another person, and you need the money to survive. That case, how well are they going to proceed with their initial plan?
Absolutely.
Make this relationship a fortified one. And obviously, I mean, one will look at the returns. He's going to compare the salary before they got married and now.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're going to go for it. It's going to be a dicey situation for you to say, okay, she's going to resign and do what? Such a situation. How would they handle that? Because this can easily split or break the whole relationship.
Absolutely. So in fact, it's a two-way traffic. It's a two-way traffic, and it's wonderful that you brought it up. Now, the first thing, just from your scenario, they agreed, so they understood that the way things are, this might not be the way to go. Okay. So they agreed that one person was going to quit the job once they get married. But the issue is that is just one of the options. I always say to people, don't destroy people's careers because they went into a relationship with you.
Okay.
If you love them enough to embrace them when you see them, then encourage them to continue in their career, except when it has become dangerous and it is in their own best interest that they walk away from that career. But if it is what they were doing, that is where you met them, why do you stop them? So in this situation, you guys need to make realistic plans. Does the person want to be a full-time housewife or a full-time house husband? If it was not part of the plan, you cannot get married and say quit your job. That would not be fair. But if you two agreed from the very outset that once marriage comes in, I am going to quit for this to happen, it means you also understand the implications, because once you tell the person to quit, is the person quitting to get another job, or is the person quitting to become a full-time housewife? Because when the person becomes a full-time housewife, remember that she was bringing in 2,000 Ghana cedis, for instance, every month. Now you're asking her to be a full-time housewife. It means that you are ready to be paying her that 2,000 Ghana cedis.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and when you pay her that 2,000 Ghana cedis, it is her prerogative how that money is going to be spent.
Right.
So you don't give her the money and then you stand over her shoulder every day and you're like, how much the money I gave to you, what did you do with it? You know, because she is making certain contributions. That is why she's not working in the bank anymore or elsewhere. Okay. So all those things have got to be considered. And if at the end of the day, you now come to a point where you're saying to yourself, okay, I have agreed to quit, but we're at this point now, and this is the reality. The money is good. What do we do? That is another reality that preparing yourself while you're single will help you in. Why? Because you understand that life is in transitions.
Okay.
And so you prepare yourself for transiting from one point in life to another point in life. Sometimes a lot of people don't prepare for the transitions that happen in their lives.
Okay.
And because they don't prepare for the transitions that happen in their lives, they continue to live in the past and expect that the future will provide to them what they used to enjoy in the past. So here I am. Before I became a head of department, okay, in the bank, I could close at 4 o'clock. I could close at 4 o'clock, and it was okay. But now I'm head of department, and of course, when I close at 4, I get home at 5. I spend the rest of the evening with this lovely person I call my wife.
Right.
But now I'm head of department of the bank, and I close at 7:30, sometimes 8 p.m. By the time I get home, it's 9. Okay. Now my wife is there, and she's very angry. You know, you don't give me as much time as you used to. Reality check. The time is not there again to give to you.
Sure.
And so when the couple also do not prepare themselves for the transition, they have problems.
Right. All right.
And you learn about life being in transitions when you're single.
Good.
And you see how you move and the discipline to embrace them. Because in that situation, you can't change it. You can't. Okay. You marry a doctor, and you haven't prepared yourself for the reality that evening, just when you want to cuddle, there might be a phone call, there's an emergency, the person has to rush to the hospital. It's a reality you have to embrace. It's your transition. So the person said, I will quit, but now there's an offer, and that offer is going to bring in more money. So how about two of you sitting down and saying, sweetheart, maybe we should get a house help?
Okay.
Do you see? Maybe we should get a house help. Maybe we should bring in one of the family members that has time on his or her hands right now to help us with the balance.
Okay.
You know, so that we can also make this money at least for a certain period.
Okay.
These are realities. So what are your contingent plans? What are the arrangements you are making to be able to get out of those implications? But when you put your foot down and say, is this way or no other way? Remember that it will have implications, and those implications will stare you in the face. It's just a matter of time.
Right. Those implications will stare you at the face, just a matter of time. Okay, so Ogo, this is another question that I have here. It says, can a cracked marriage be fixed? And he's saying that in terms of personality clash, that wasn't considered prior to the marriage.
Okay. Yes, it can be fixed. Okay. And that is where the issue of mediation comes in. Okay. Yes. But before the couple come to the table of mediation, they already have made up their minds to value the relationship more than they value the interest they have. Okay. So the relationship comes first. And when the relationship comes first, you find yourself saying, I can put away my interest for the interest of the relationship. My interest is not the subject. The relationship is the issue, and it's a two-way traffic. Both parties are coming to the table. Okay, so I'll give you an instance. Okay, and this is my personal experience.
Right.
When I got married to my wife, you know, we're very young, and you know how it is when you actually go into the relationship that you get to, you know, discover certain things that you were not paying attention to back in the days. Yeah, because we don't even ask the right questions. You know, we don't observe the right things. All we want is to be able to go sit somewhere and drink red wine, you know, and then you're asking the person to tell you all the nicest things on the face of the earth, and you're always writing a poem, and you're standing in front of her and say, "When I think about you, the moon stands still." That is what we spend our lives doing. You know, we don't pay attention to the realities. So you walk in, these things hit you, and you're saying to yourself, "I should have known this before now." Okay.
What happened?
So in my case, my wife is not a night person.
Okay.
My wife is not a night person. Okay. So once it's 9:30 p.m., it is very likely that my wife is going to sleep off. It doesn't matter what the issue is.
Okay.
You can actually be running into the house and saying you've received a promotion. They have made you ambassador of Nigeria to the UK and all of that. Please check the time before you start. She might sleep off.
Right.
And you see, it can become an issue, okay? Because you can define the person as insensitive. Okay, you're not even paying attention. The best moments of my life, my toughest moments, you're not even there for me and all of that. Every issue you want to sleep off, then cost you, you know, the you sleep cost you, you know, and it becomes a huge issue. But when we started to mediate in our marriage, and yes, it did cause a misunderstanding, you know, a few times, because why? At 9:30, it's not that late. Okay. But for my wife, it is late.
Right.
But you know something, Ben, I kid you not. At 4 a.m., my wife's eyes and her brain are so bright and sharp, like a thief.
Sharp.
So sharp. You can't believe that anybody can be that effective, that surgical, you know, at that time of the day.
Right.
So what did we do? Save the important conversations for the morning.
And that's the key.
And we stopped having the misunderstandings.
Know yourself.
Know yourself. But imagine a situation where I stuck to my interest and I say something like, my wife has got to listen to me the time I want to talk. If it's important to me, it should be important to her as well. I am putting my interest before the relationship.
Okay.
Do you see? Right. And she's saying it's 9:30 p.m. I will sleep.
Right.
So even when she makes the effort, for instance, and you guys are together and it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m., don't make it a tradition. It doesn't mean it will happen for you tomorrow. Right. Enjoy it. Enjoy that 11 p.m. and be thankful to the Almighty, but don't make it a tradition. Do you see? Right. There is another pattern that works.
Right.
Adopt that pattern. Mediate. Okay. So you need to look beyond yourself, and you're saying to yourself, do I want this relationship to work? If I want this relationship to work, what sacrifice do I need to make? That sacrifice that I'm required to make, is it going to cost me anything particularly? Does it cost me my values? Does it take away who I am? What does it do? Right. Okay. Right. It doesn't cost you anything. So now you can do it. You meet yourselves halfway and you deal with issues. Okay. The other thing is, okay, so if we cannot talk at 4 a.m., assuming that, okay, I'm now insisting that's my time to sleep. So if she wants to stay awake, she can stay awake. Interest still fighting. Okay. Can we also start to use our mobile phones more effectively? Okay. Share information during the day and try to see what we can trash out, so that by the time I come home, we can have a little more time to have conversation and lay things to rest. You've got to find a way to get around the mountain and balance it. No two relationships are the same. So you need to work out what works for two of you in order to make it work.
Right.
But it's achievable. Yeah.
More or less like there's some kind of adjustment that needs to be made.
Absolutely. Those adjustments have got to be made. And so, and that is also where singlehood comes in right now. Okay. Yeah. You know, there are some people that just stick to a certain position, like your name is Ambassador Benjamin Owusu-Ansah.
Yes.
Okay. But then I say Benjamin Owusu-Ansah, and then you say, until you put that ambassador, we don't have a conversation.
Wow.
There are some people that will stick to that position for 2 years because the subject of ambassador was not added to their name. So I mean, you drop some of those things because you see what's important, what's not important. If I remove ambassador, is my name still Ben? You know, does it change the look of my face? You know,
it doesn't change anything. You are still the man.
Yeah, you're still the man. You know,
still the man.
You know what matters.
Wow. This has been another thrilling section, and ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if we were to be having in-person session, I would say we need to give a standing ovation to Ogo because this man here has brought to light and brought to bear things that you are not being taught in school. And things that when you are not even careful, you can't observe them in life by yourself. He has actually brought our mind to certain things. I mean, he said it. I mean, when you're dating, I mean, you just wonder, you feel your part. And you're not even paying attention. Just as he said, he gave his own example. Didn't know the wife is an early morning person, an early morning bird. And he is a late night person. But I mean, during relationship, you are not bound to see all these things because that is not where your attention is. But he has brought our attention to that point that we can now pick some of these things and get to know who really we are before getting to join up with another person. And remember, when you join with that person, we keep on saying that till death do you part. And you're going to live the rest of your life or the rest of your life with this person. So how are you going to adjust with their life? Are you going to put your interest before the relationship? Or are you going to put the relationship before your interest? He has given us those nuggets. And for me, I think this is the best book I've read this day. That is the man for you here. And I mean, all the way from Nigeria, giving us this nugget. We are so appreciative of it. We say thank you, Lord. Thank you a million times. And we cannot even continue thanking you because you've given us a pictorial view of living a single life before you move into a relationship. That will not give you any kind of crisscrossing. The challenges will come, but knowing what to put ahead of the relationship makes the relationship a. So on behalf of the African Seasoned Speakers Network, we want to say a very big thank you to you, sir. I think this is just part one. Well, viewers, if you agree with me, type into the section, into the chat section, and say we want part two. It is not going to be just my own orchestration. We want a part two of this. This alone is not enough. We want a part two of it because some of the things he shared with us were too much. He said, you can't believe it, but you are not alive. Man, that is something else. That is something else for us. That is something else for us. So on behalf of the team here, I say thank you so much, sir. And with every respect, we want to lie prostrate now. I said, I'm going to make our prostrate now. I want to lie prostrate now. We want to say a very big thank you to you. Thank you, viewers. Share the page. And as we always say, if you want to be part of it, just hit us and then send us an email at info@asep.com@gmail.com, and then let's come together, join forces with us, sponsor this program, and let's reach a larger number of people whilst we influence our generation. So, as we are saying always, today's catchword has been know yourself. And thank you, sir. We're waiting definitely for the part two of it. This is just a tip of the iceberg. Thank you. So, viewers, we're going to have you here next week on our episode, which is also going to be a wonderful one. And I hope you're not going to miss it. Thank you so much. My name It's Ambassador Benjamin. Also answer. We'll catch you again next time.